Of course, the surprise of the first round, David, mainly because of the signing and the collective investment in Kirk Cousins. So after your conversation, after evaluating the draft, do you feel like this creates more problems or solves problems in Atlanta? How do you view the quarterback situation?
Well, yeah, you can look at it from both perspectives. I think with the Kirk Cousins situation, it was a little bit surprising, I'm sure, for Kirk because he's at the end of his career. He's made a ton of money. He's not really worried about losing his job, because if he's in that situation, you hang it up, right? His goal should be to try and go win a championship. And so the frustration would lie with Kirk with saying, okay, maybe we could have used that pick to get a player that could help us right away. So this is a team pick, and from that perspective, I love it. I think that it's a great pick because I love Michael Penix. I think that he's a fantastic football player. I think he's underrated. I think his arm is probably as good as anybody's in this draft. Honestly, he's going to outthrow Kirk Cousins when they go to practice. So that's how good this guy is. But that's not really what it's all about. So I think that the quarterback room is an interesting dynamic, and you got to make sure you guys get along. Kirk's great, and Michael is great. Talking to his coach, I know Kalen DeBoer really well, who coached him at Washington. Michael Penix is going to be no issue, right? He's going to do his work. He's going to learn from Kirk. And when it's his turn to step in, he's going to go in there and play well. The real issue is, okay, did Atlanta do enough? Does Raheem feel like this team is in the position, right there to say, you know what, we're going to take a luxury item. I don't think that we're ever going to be in this position again. Let's grab this quarterback for the future, and we're going to go win. I actually love, even though my brother's in that same division, I actually love his mindset, believing that he's not going to have this opportunity to pick in the top 10. So let's go grab our quarterback for the future. Let's go try and win this division. I think it's going to be a good plan. I think it's going to be a great quarterback room overall.
So, Tom, let's say that Michael Penix Jr. does grow, as David thinks. He's going to be a successful quarterback. How are we looking at Kirk Cousins' contract now under those circumstances?
We go back to the Kirk Cousins' mentality and why he became a free agent in the first place. He once said it's not about the dollars, it's what the dollars represent. The Vikings were not willing to fully guarantee 2 years, so he takes the 2-year plus full guarantee with the Atlanta Falcons on the idea that they're finally making the commitment that Minnesota wasn't willing to. Fast forward 6 weeks, Cousins is waving around a hanky on stage at the draft party, then gets a call an hour later saying, hey, we're drafting Michael Penix. Here is where we're at in terms of Cousins' contract. He makes $62.5 million in 2024. He's on the books for another $27.5 million that's fully guaranteed in 2025, and an additional $10 million in 2026 fully vests once he's on the roster the 5th day of the league year in 2025. Is there a scenario where they can move on from Kirk Cousins? The short answer is yes. The longer answer is it's complicated. Obviously, with that number dropping off in terms of the cash to Kirk Cousins, he has a pretty palatable number if they were to try to trade him next year. But Cousins also has a no-trade clause, so he could effectively scuttle any deal. If they were to get to a position and decide, hey, whether it's what we haven't seen from Kirk Cousins or what we have seen from Michael Penix, we're ready to move on a year from now. It's not just about $37.5 million in dead money. It's the fact this guy's got a no-trade clause. He can keep you from sending him someplace that he doesn't want to go. It stands to reason that Kirk Cousins, for at least 2 years here, is going to be the Falcons quarterback, but it also would have stood to reason that when Cousins on stage before the draft last week, that there was no reason for him to think, hey, I wonder if they're going to take my eventual replacement at number 8.
Yeah, David, no reason to necessarily think that, but we look back at Kirk's career. He had we'll call it an antagonistic relationship with the folks in Washington. Things were great in Minnesota. How do you think the relationship stands now in Atlanta?
I think Kirk's going to be fine. I think that he's obviously the initial shock was probably something that he did not expect. But I think that he's going to be locked in. Obviously, being a veteran, being around, he understands how this game works. I mean, he was in the same draft as Robert Griffin III, so in Washington. So he's been in this situation before, and he understands the game. So he's going to go out and do his work, try to make this team as good as they can, try to go win a division. And I think that he has at least a year, maybe even 2, before Michael Penix is really coming at him. Unless of the injury thing. That's the thing we have to remember. He's coming off as an Achilles, and I know quarterbacks don't move around a lot. We are pretty stagnant, but there is a situation that I can envision where Michael Penix gets on the field, and in this offensive system, if Atlanta is going to be as improved as we think they are, he can play really good football, and then we have to go back to what we just talked about here, where how do we get out of Kirk's contract and move on to this young kid?
To me, the biggest dynamic that shifted, and David certainly can speak a lot more to the locker room dynamics than I can. When you talk about there's going to be a vastly improved offense this season, you got a first-time play caller in Zach Robinson, you got a new quarterback in Kirk Cousins, you got new weapons around him. If they started out slow and the backup were Taylor Heineke, and the first couple of games don't go well, you wouldn't have Heineke chance in the stands. If this team doesn't perform well out of the gate, you will have Penix chance from the crowd. It just creates different questions from the media, creates different questions from fans here. It's one more thing they have to deal with, but before Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris turned in that card, they had to take it in totality, and obviously they felt comfortable they're going to be able to sail those rocky seas.
So
the way this quarterback room goes, Patrick, sorry to cut you off, but I just know this is Michael goes out and throws 3 or 4 touchdowns in preseason. We don't even have to wait until the regular season. The noise will already start.
Exactly. We love quarterbacks. What can we say? We had the Bears take one number 1 overall. Coming up next,